This whole area behind me down below, there is an incredible archaeological park. Another wonderful thing to see that I highly recommend. In this case, don't go out the dung gate, just kind of go to the right just before it. You'll come around and you get to the entrance over there. Wonderful, wonderful place to visit as well. Okay, you can actually see and walk on the ancient stones, see the ancient ritual baths, see the ancient shops where people bought their sacrifices, changed their money, everything, see the destruction from the Romans, and even walk on the steps. The ancient Jews used to walk going into the temple, including, of course, Jesus of Nazareth. All right, Western Wall. What you see here is not the whole Western Wall. It's a small portion of it. It's all that was left that people knew about when people came back. All right, and that's why the prayers have been here. But the excavations found much more. The tunnel way below the Muslim quarter found a lot more as well. Temple Mount above is the holiest spot in Judaism. Because there's a big debate about Jews going onto the Temple Mount, because the Muslims have been pretty much in control of that for so long, that this has been the place of prayer. In fact, Jews around the world are all praying facing towards Israel. In Israel, they're praying facing towards Jerusalem. In Jerusalem, they're praying facing towards the Temple Mount here. So really, really savvy, smart prayers at the wall are not standing exactly straight. They're a little bit angled towards the Dome of the Rock, if they know what they're doing. In any case, what is the story, guys? This is not the wall of the temple. A common mistake. This is the wall of a temple complex. What do I mean by a complex? This is a mountain, Temple Mount, right? This is Mount Moriah, where Abraham went to sacrifice Isaac. It was on a mountain. I don't see a mountain. I don't know about you guys. I don't see any mountain behind me. What happens? Well, when Solomon built his temple, there was a mountain. He put a building on top, a temple. It got destroyed by the Babylonians. Right? Jews are exiled to Babylon. Bob Marley singing, by the rivers of Babylon, right? You know, Jews start to come back. They build another temple, same deal. But then our friend King Herod shows up. And for King Herod, it's not good enough. Right? Bigger, better, more. He wants to redo it. He wants to make a huge temple complex befitting of his status as king. He's going to take down the temple, rebuild it, double the height, but he's also going to knock down part of the mountain. He's going to extend the mountain to the south, to the west, and he's going to build this big wall around that whole thing that he built at a flat platform. That's where he's going to stick the temple on. The western wall is the western wall of the platform, not of the temple. All right. So 2,000 years ago, people are not coming over here to pray. They're going up onto the Temple Mount. In fact, closest way in for us, just over the excavations here, there's a thing jutting out over the green tarp, if you can see that. It's actually part of a walkway into the temple. This is what mostly non-Jews would actually walk in this area, by the way. And they would come up what was over the largest arch in the Roman Empire, which supported the largest stairwell in the Roman Empire, going to the largest prayer space in the Roman Empire, and the largest building in the Roman Empire, which was not the temple. It was the royal portico, the arcade, the stoa, however you want to call it, in the area of the Al-Aqsa Mosque today, where people used to teach, great rabbis like Hillel. Jesus used to teach and learn. It's also the same area that he turned over all the money lenders' tables. That was the biggest building in the Roman world. You guys are a smart, educated crowd, right? And I know you come from all over the place. I imagine some of you may have been to Rome, right? If not, you may have seen the movie Gladiator, right? And you should be telling me right now, Kobi, what about the Colosseum? Right? The temple was destroyed 9 years before the Colosseum was built. And who likely built the Colosseum? Jewish slaves from Jerusalem. Alright? Fun little thing. In any case, some of the customs that you see here at the Western Wall. Number one, if you come to visit, if you want to get close to the wall, there's a men's section and a women's section. Men, you'll want to put on something on your head. Alright, they have little cardboard things you can put on if you go. You should always, being a holy spot, you should dress appropriately, right? Especially women, to be modest in your dress. Famous people have come and put notes on the wall. The Pope, John Paul II, put a note on the wall Obama put a note in the wall, although some idiot actually went and found it and printed it in the Israeli newspapers. We'd like to smack him if we can. Not Obama, the other guy. It's basically believed that the stones are so holy that the divine presence never left, even though the temple was destroyed, the divine presence hung out around God's presence and filled the stones, that this is like the post office to God. And so, of course, this gets us to another joke. I first heard this when Bill Clinton was in office, so I tell it with Bill Clinton. And it says that Bill Clinton came to the Middle East and Europe on a tour. He stopped in the Vatican, met with the Pope, and the whole time he's sitting there, he's got to ask a question. And finally, before he leaves, he says, Pope, what's the red phone on your desk? I have a red phone on my desk. That's to call Moscow in case of a nuclear, issue. I don't think the Vatican has nukes. Well, maybe you do, I don't know, but I hope not. In any case, what's the red phone for? He says, that's my direct line to God. Right? It's your direct line to God, right? Can I make a call? Sure. But it costs $30 a minute. $30 a minute, right? That's nothing. Plus I can do a tax write-off, no worries. Right? Okay? Makes his phone call, talks to God. Later on, he's on his tour. He comes here to Jerusalem. He's in the office of the chief rabbis, right? Hanging out with the chief rabbi, sees the red phone on the desk. He goes, Rabbi, I know what that phone is. He goes, what do you mean? He goes, that's your direct line to God, right? How do you know that? Well, I was in the Vatican. They had the same thing, right? How much does it cost to use? He says, $10 a minute. $10 a minute? When I was in the Vatican, it was $30 a minute. Right? The rabbi says, yeah. But here it's a local call. So we are going to continue on into the Muslim quarter. You may have missed it, but the first place in the Muslim quarter is called Al Burak Restaurants. Remember Muhammad's winged horse Al Burak? Well, in Muslim tradition, it was the southern wall in which he was tied. Perhaps the corner of the southwest, we're not sure, but it's just the southern wall. When a lot of Jews started coming back, modern Zionism, political Zionism, in the 1880s especially, and moving on, the tradition got moved from the southern wall to the western wall to compete with the Jewish tradition of the western wall. And perhaps, I don't think it's a mistake, that the first thing you see in the Muslim quarter closest to the western wall is a restaurant named after Al Burak. That being said, we stopped right here. This is behind me a Ottoman period, Turkish period fountain. There's a whole bunch of them throughout the Muslim quarter, so keep your eyes open for them. But a human being, of course, would have filled their water up from here. An animal would have drinking from the trough here, a donkey, a horse, etc. I only stopped because there's something really interesting about the trough. What is this that he would have been drinking out of, the animal? This is a Roman sarcophagus, a Roman coffin in secondary use. A body would have been buried here in this, right? What happened? There's so many ruins here, and one people destroys another civilization that's here, and they suddenly destroyed a whole lot of things, and they find stuff, and they're going to use it to build. And so here we have something from hundreds and hundreds of years before the Ottomans being reused, the new use. That being said, I don't know if I'd want to be the donkey or the horse drinking out of it, but no one really asked their opinion anyway, unfortunately. So.